All right, I slept on it, rewatched all the games on all 22, just have a better feel for what the hell we just witnessed. And here are my 10 big takeaways from the conference championship. And number one, by far, Sam Darnold joins the infinite list of athletes who can't win the big game, then of course, immediately do it the next year. These narratives just piss me off so bad. I just don't understand. We just like turn our brains off just because something hasn't happened does not mean it can't happen in the future. Like that's not a crazy concept here. I can't believe that's where we end up in sports media. But a lot of this just starts with the 2 game sample size that we had last year with the Vikings, where they completely collapsed. The offensive line was terrible. He was shipped off for literally nothing, no trade, no franchise tag, just see you later, Sam Darnold. But the reality was, if you can win 14 regular season games, you can obviously win in the playoffs too. It was just a matter of time. I can't believe the Vikings didn't realize this, but they're still going to be in the quarterback competition this next year with JG McCarthy. The Jets, I mean, this is a long time ago, but the Jets are picking inside the top 5. There's not going to be a quarterback selected in the top 5 after Fernando Mendoza, so they're still looking for quarterbacks. And to me, just in the modern NFL, all this zone coverage, it just takes a long time for these quarterbacks to develop. And I think Sam Darnold is at the very top of this list. Obviously, you see Ghost with the Jets. You go visit Shanahan. I think even before that with the Panthers, he was showing some signs of hope. The Vikings run was really fantastic. I thought he was the best downfield thrower in the NFL. And then this year, early on, like the first month of the season, he was locked and loaded with Klint Kubiak throwing the ball down the field once again. So I think what we have to do is take a deep breath with Sam Darnold and realize he's a highly volatile quarterback, but he's actually a pretty dang good one. He might be the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. If you want the downfield shots with Sam Darnold, we saw that JSN big corner post routes. We saw the Rashid Shaheed shot play early on. We'll see it to other players down the stretch here as well. You have to live with some of the negatives. You only can throw the ball downfield if you're willing to hold on to the ball, which means that you could have some sacks. You could have some turnovers. But for the most part, Sam Darnold has kind of walked that line at a really nice clip. So since 2022, he's actually second in completion percentage over expected. He's third in success rate, and he's fourth in EPA per play. So he's going to be a highly volatile quarterback. But when he catches fire, like we just saw against the Rams, he can definitely win a big game. So, like, please do not use that phrase. That phrase is so ridiculous. I remember when we were doing that with LeBron James at one point, just like completely smooth brain talking point. So, really happy for him as a USC guy. I took some classes with Sam Darnold over at USC. Really happy for him. Seems like a good guy, and just the latest example of something that will be true for the rest of the time. Second biggest takeaway, Jackson Smith and Jigba was the best player of the weekend. It really wasn't close. Obviously, Puka Nacua made some plays. Matthew Stafford was excellent, but that big corner post route, he just floats in the air. But also just before that, the way that he kind of manipulates these off coverage defenders is really, really elite. So we had a really deep safety out there, hits him with the head fake. But to me, the best thing about JSN is when you watch him, he's not bouncing up and down when he's actually ball tracking. His head and his hands just kind of stay there the whole time, and the ball just immediately gets back to him. He just is so awesome at that. Obviously, the one-handed catch on the sideline was another awesome play from him. If you go back and watch that play, because it happened on the Seahawks sideline, you can see Klint Kubiak, McDonald, you can see the rest of the sideline on the Seahawks end. No reaction. Like, he makes that play right in front of him. They're just so used to JSN making plays like that, like no reaction whatsoever. I went back and looked at it. Seahawks games the entire season. He's been the leading receiver in all but 2 of those games. Super impressive stuff. So he's gonna be the most common choice, I think, for like the pregame shows. Who's gonna be the Super Bowl MVP? Obviously, JSN could pull that off, just how productive he has been. I think he's actually right now third in the odds for that. But he's an incredible football player, and really his just ability to like float in traffic and just really stay calm and poised, I think, is what separates him versus a lot of other top end receivers. Number 3, the Rams Seahawks rivalry was probably the best 3-game series in NFL history. Just going back to this, Mike McDonald was brought in specifically to slow down Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, who run very similar schemes, obviously. And he's done that fantastically in his 2 seasons. This is also a division rival with a lot of player overlap in this game. Cooper Kupp switched teams, Ernest Jones switched teams, Colby Parkinson, Poona Ford. So there's a lot of like player overlap, a lot of rivalry just for like letting these guys go. Also, you just look at what was at stake here. The Rams and Seahawks record versus everybody else this year. They went 27-6. That's an 82% winning percentage. So Rams and Seahawks removed the games against each other where it was a split before this game. They're just kicking everybody's ass there. On top of that, all the games this year were very close between them. Rams win by 2 in November. The best game of the regular season was that Seahawks win in overtime this last December. And obviously, the tiebreaker here, I think, was largely decided by a muff punt. So by far, the two best teams in the NFL this year in division make it to the conference championship. This is going to be a fantastic rivalry moving forward just because Shanahan, McVay, and now Mike McDonald, none of these guys are going to be leaving the division for a very long time. So buckle your seats. We're going to figure out what the Rams are going to do moving forward here. It sounds like Matthew Stafford is going to be back. So I'm anticipating another big year in this division. I think the NFL largely runs through the NFC West. Number 4, the Rams defense cost Matthew Stafford a Super Bowl. Really tough run out here for Matthew Stafford. In this game, he had a 98th percentile first down rate, a 91st percentile EPA per play. He even got it done as a scrambler. That 4th and 1 conversion, if you guys rewatch that play, obviously has no business scrambling ever. But you can kind of see him like peep to the sideline to see where the first down marker is. You can see his eyes get really wide because he's like, how the hell am I going to make this happen? Fights through contact and actually picks up a big first down. But really, it was just not enough. Like they only punted the ball a couple times. They obviously had that 4th down failed conversion attempt. But aside from that, it was just touchdown, 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 touchdown all the way for Matthew Stafford. And it really just comes down to the secondary. And we knew it was bad from the get-go. For like the first half of the year, they were getting away with it. But the last half of the year, we started to see some weaknesses. Darius Williams gets burned by Rashid Shaheed right away down the field. Jake Bobo, corner post. That time was on Kobe Durant. We had a coverage bust on JSN where he was actually used from the backfield. I thought it was a very good game by Klint Kubiak, who we'll get to later in the show. But the Rams secondary was just not good enough. I thought the Rams defensive line was all right. They got some pressure, but they were not able to actually contain and sack Sam Darnold that many times, forced a couple punts there throughout the game. But really, it was the secondary. We knew it was always going to be the secondary, and that's going to be the big thing. I think that starts with the linebackers, but also get back to the cornerback play, just not good enough. And JSN, Jake Bobo, Cooper Kupp, even Kenneth Walker breaking some tackles out in space. That was the difference in this game, aside from that muff punt. Number 5, Jarrett Stidham could not handle the pressure. Early on in the game, through a couple passes that were just got away from him a little bit. He did have that huge pass down the field to Marvin Mims, scores another touchdown. But really, whenever the defensive line created some penetration against Jarrett Stidham, you just really felt him kind of retreat. So obviously, the one brain dead play that he had, full-blown panic. The Patriots blitzed, and they blitzed a ton in this game. They've really like ratcheted that up since their own bye week. You just see how Jarrett Stidham, his eyes dropped, and then he started retreating. And you can tell what happened is he was waiting for the running back, Tyler Bidet, to get out in space so he can throw the ball to him. Well, he just got caught in the wash, and the running back is not going to be able to get out in space that quickly. He's out there against the blitz trying to figure things out. Full-blown panic that really should have just been a touchdown for the Patriots. They scored a touchdown right after it. It didn't really matter. But also on the 4th and 1 failed attempt earlier in the game, you can watch the Patriots. Their defensive line shifts pre-snap and then shifts back to basically where they were lined up. There's 2 players right in his face right away on that little pass to RJ Harvey. That gets kind of blown up. The late interception, that was another blitz by the Patriots where he just sees off coverage, throws the ball to Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims still has no idea that the ball is being targeted to him. Easy interception there. I think that was just Jarrett Stidham feeling the pressure, see some flashes initially in the blizzard, throws the ball up. And then even some of the incompletions from Jarrett Stidham, there was a big like kind of dig route to Courtland Sutton. That was against the blitz. He has to throw that super early. I think he even threw that ball pretty well, but it goes right off of Courtland Sutton's hip just because he wasn't anticipating the pass to be there that quickly. So really it was just the Patriots' relentless pressure. Jarrett Stidham felt that pressure. And that brings me to number 6 here, the Patriots run defense. They have the beef. 20 carries for 60 yards on early downs if you remove the Jarrett Stidham scrambles. We had Christian Barmore absolutely just go crazy against an all-pro guard for a lot of the game. He had a sack, but he was also just pushing piles against the run. Milton Williams was hammering the left guard the entire game. The center had some problems as well. And then Kyrie's Tonga, this number 95, is It kind of reminds me of a smaller Vita Vea, big man himself, though. Completely walks back the center for a couple snaps here. He's also playing some fullback. So they go 3 defensive tackles for a lot of their plays, 2 stand-up edge rushers, and then bring some linebackers, bring some safeties on some of these run blitzes. It's a lot to handle. Like right now, Mike Vrabel is daring teams to pass the ball on him because he has these 3 monster defensive tackles and he's blitzing. So there's a lot of movement pre-snap. You really feel it when you go back and watch some of these RJ Harvey runs where he's being hit right at the line of scrimmage. If RJ Harvey, because his vision's not very good, takes a second to kind of make a decision, here comes a nickel defender coming in. Here comes one of these defensive tackles that I talked about. But it's been a very long time. No one's been able to run the ball on the Patriots. I'm not even expecting the Seahawks to be able to do that very much. It's going to have to be a very special day for Kenneth Walker in the Super Bowl. The way to beat the Patriots right now is through the air. Obviously, a lot harder to do that when the blizzard was in town. But just shout out Tonga, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore. They paid for these guys in the offseason with Milton Williams, $100 million. And the dividends have really returned already in the first season for the Patriots. All right, promo code the Showtime, and let's talk about Surfshark. It's 2026. We're all working on the go from home, a coffee shop, even on vacation for some of us. No matter where you are, securing your data and privacy is super important. Surfshark VPN allows you to browse the internet privately by encrypting all your internet activity, making sure your information is protected the entire time you're online. Surfshark doesn't track, monitor, or store your information. They have no idea what your Brian Thomas exposure was last year, and they certainly don't know about whatever the hell you're doing on the internet, guys. And they offer unlimited devices under one subscription, allowing you to secure your entire household. Computers, phones, tablets, even your smart TV. Once you've got it installed, you'll be able to avoid dynamic pricing and secure the best deals on your next holiday and access new shows you've been dying to watch but aren't available in your area. Boom. You just unlocked every show from Kazakhstan. Just install Surfshark VPN and browse all new content regardless of your location, and use the clean web feature to bypass annoying ads like this one and trackers before they load. Don't wait. Surfshark is a game changer. Just head over to surfshark.com/the show or use promo code the show at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. That's surfshark.com, promo code the show to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Number 7, statistically, the Patriots' playoff offense is exactly what the Titans' offense was this regular season. If it wasn't for this Patriots defense I just spent the last couple minutes talking about, they would have already been in Cancun or in Cabo like I'll be in a couple weeks now. So really what's going wrong with the Patriots' playoff offense? I think number 1, the offensive line. I would think once again, unfortunately, I have to call out Will Campbell. There was a couple, definitely some pressures on him on one-on-one situations. But even on the plays where he wasn't giving up pressures, you just see them having to scheme a random. So you see Rhamondre Stevenson lined up right behind Will Campbell. You'll see Will Campbell chip Nick Bonito, and then Drake Maye flush out to the other side. Even some of the biggest plays of the game, Drake Maye stepping up into pressure because Will Campbell's being beat over the top, and he's running right up the middle. So I think the biggest issue right now, it's the tackle play. There's a couple plays where Morgan Moses on the other side was beat one-on-one, but the Patriots for the most of the season have been super successful throwing the ball down the field. We have not seen that this playoff run. I think the number 2 reason, Kayshon Boutte just could not beat Pat Surtain on his deep shots. They gave him a couple options, and there was just nothing there. Like Pat Surtain was like throwing Kayshon Boutte into the sideline. There was a couple shot plays over the middle, was just not happening whatsoever. So you just feel the Patriots offense is getting smaller and smaller and smaller because they are not able to pass the ball down the field because Will Campbell's getting beat. Kayshon Boutte cannot beat Pat Surtain here. And then the third thing is just Drake Maye's ball placement's been pretty iffy. And I think he's kind of playing a little bit rushed on tape as well. So there was one instance where Hunter Henry was actually sprung open in the red zone, and Drake Maye was looking at him, kind of just falls to the other side, wants to step up into the pocket. That was a touchdown that did not happen in this one. There was also some passes out into the flats. This ball just got away from him a little bit. One play was a tick late because Will Campbell's kind of feeling things out on one side, misses the ball into the sidelines on a potential hole shot too. So like playoff version of Drake Maye has not been nearly as good as it was in the regular season. But really, it hasn't mattered because the defense has stepped up. Obviously, they're going to have to do that against the Seahawks, which to me is the best defense in the NFL. The Texans have been fantastic. The Broncos have been fantastic. I think the Seahawks, they swarm better than anybody. Maybe you can argue that you can beat them down the field just a little bit, and they're going to need that to happen. But Drake May's got to play better. The ground game's got to get better. And really, Will Campbell, Kayshon Boutte, Steph Diggs, these guys are going to have to step up because so far, this has looked like one of the worst offenses in the playoff run. And they're lucky they faced some backup quarterbacks, the CJ Stroud game, because otherwise they would have been bounced a long time ago. Number 8, Rhamondre Stevenson took TreVeyon Henderson's job. This is like straight up chain snatching moment here. TreVeyon played 4 snaps out of 64 plays. And I went back and watched those 4 snaps, and you can just see it. He's not hitting the right holes. He's bouncing things to the perimeter, and it's just not good enough. I think his vision has been pretty mediocre for a lot of the season. He's obviously made up for that with some explosive runs, but Rhamondre Stevenson is just the more reliable back. And really, it's the dirty work that Rhamondre Stevenson has really stood out. So a couple plays from Rhamondre to have his back, because obviously everybody's rooting for TreVeyon over Rhamondre. I like the big dogs. Drake Maye scrambled. You can watch that again. The big one where he ran for like 35 yards. There was actually a defensive line stunt where Rhamondre's walked up to the line of scrimmage, a D-line stunt. He sits in there and just like holds up. That's incredible. Like he picks up the stunt. He knows it's coming, stands in there, holds the line. Drake Maye runs right behind Rhamondre for that huge lane. There's also the Drake Maye rushing touchdown where Rhamondre Stevenson's the lead blocker. Like the safety that was part of that play was completely thrown out the club by Rhamondre Stevenson. That was a subtle play for Rhamondre Stevenson once again. And then even the flea flicker, which was largely like the only play in the second half for the Patriots. Not only does Rhamondre throw the flea flicker like on time at like a normal plane. Remember some of like the really big lollipop flea flickers we've seen recently. A good flick of the flea by Rhamondre Stevenson immediately turns around, and here comes a blitzer and just stonewalls him in pass protection so Drake Maye could throw that perfect pass over to Matt Collins. So like all this like dirty work stuff that you feel from Rhamondre Stevenson, it's the size, it's the girth, it's the playoffs, it's January, and that's why Rhamondre is playing over TreVeyon. I think for the rest of the offseason, when we get into fantasy circles here, TreVeyon's already going multiple rounds ahead of Rhamondre Stevenson. We're talking about a sophomore. Rhamondre's been around the block for a little bit here. But this is pretty substantial. We're talking about 4 snaps to 60 snaps when the entire season is on the line. So lots of questions for fantasy analysts like myself to figure out on a future date here. We got the Super Bowl to cover, but pretty substantial difference. Rhamondre versus TreVeyon. I really do think it's the reliability, hitting the right holes, and also standing up in pass protection. Number 9, we have odds right now over on Underdog for the Super Bowl. Opening line right now, 3.5 favorites for the Seattle Seahawks. The implied team totals we had at 25 to 21 and a half. We're going to obviously preview that game. I think we're going to have Theo Ash come on the channel maybe on Thursday, but go check out our socials as well. I like the Seahawks without like going into everything here. Sam Darnold's also the odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl MVP. Like I'll say that again. Sam Darnold is the odds-on favorite for Super Bowl MVP. Followed that up is Drake Maye is second. I think JSN is third in line. Speaking of JSN, we have his receiving yards at 93 and a half. Kenneth Walker, he's at 100.5 total yards over on the Underdog Pick'em lobby. And then one just thing I like, just scanning the lobby real quick, I like Drake Maye higher than 30 and a half pass attempts. Weather should be fine. This game's going to take place over in San Francisco. In the games where the Patriots are trailing, they really pass the ball a lot. I think that the struggles on the ground for the Patriots recently, it's going to be hard to overcome that against another great defensive line, really swarming defense. In general, I think it's just going to be harder for them to kind of win the game on the ground. They're going to need Drake Maye to go into like MVP level Drake Maye to win that game. So I think they're going to have to pass the ball a lot on that side of the ball. So that's just the early look at the lines over on Underdog. Promo code the show, play 5, get 75. Tons and tons and tons of promos. Other sports, we got culture picks over there. That means like Bitcoin if you're a crypto bro. We got some politics. We got some like company wide ones, some fun new options over on Underdog right now. And lastly, number 10, we just watched some new NFL head coaches call some plays this last week. So number 1, I think it's going to end up being Klint Kubiak over to the Raiders. Tom Brady, we had him covering that game over in the booth. He was very complimentary of Klint Kubiak. The Raiders have not, hired a head coach yet. Most likely that's because they have not been able to interview the coaches that have still been playing and calling plays. I think that we're going to get Klint Kubiak in after the Super Bowl and be the Raiders head coach. That's going to be interesting because obviously Fernando Mendoza, more of an RPO system. This is a lot of under center dropbacks, throwing the ball over the top of defenses. We're obviously going to cover that in full depth once that finally gets announced, but I would make him the pretty big favorite over there. My guy, the European DJ, Nate Scheelhaase. I think he's going to be the Browns head coach. Grant Udinski, the up-and-coming guy from the Vikings and the Jaguars, he's backed out of the race. The Browns have not been able to find anybody that wants this job, so they're going to go with the kind of up-and-coming guy coming kind of out of nowhere. Was under Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Everyone loves this guy. Pass game coordinator for the Rams. Obviously, the Rams throughout the playoffs have been awesome. The best passing offense in the league in the regular season. I think he's going to be the Browns head coach. I think that makes sense just with the GM over there, an Ivy League guy, wants to be on offense, wants to get young. I think checks a lot of boxes for the Browns. He obviously has his work cut out for him, but to rise from an assistant in college to being an NFL head coach in just a matter of a couple years, super impressive stuff. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything else about him, if he's the best play caller ever or not. I just know everyone that runs into this guy loves him. So some up and coming guys that were just kind of behind the headsets that are going to be pretty big figures to us in the next couple of weeks. So I think we're going to get Josh Norris. If you guys remember him, back over on the channel this week. We're going to do the top 10 free agents at every position. So I got to get into the lab, study some offensive linemen, study some safeties, look at some of the unheralded positions. Those are the big type of positions that make big moves once we get to the offseason. We're going to go over the quarterbacks, who's going to get cut, who's going to get traded, who's going to be a franchise tag candidate. Is Kyle Pitts, for example, going to actually leave Atlanta? Same thing with George Pickens, Alec Pierce. All those discussions will be back on the channel this week. Theo Ash Super Bowl preview later in the week, and a lot more. I went into the lab and actually looked at some Fernando Mendoza tape just to get a little feel. Pretty good football player over there. So prospects, Super Bowl preview, free agency, all on the channel. Like, subscribe, promo code the show. Listen to some Alice in Chains, by the way. We're talking about a bunch of Seattle stuff. Best band ever. Peace.